Hey everyone, welcome. When we learn music, is it just about hitting the right notes? Today we're going to look at a really cool way of thinking about music education that goes way beyond that. We're talking about shifting from just playing the music to actually, understanding it. So let's jump right in.
So let me start with a question for you. Have you ever played a song, maybe even played it perfectly, but felt like you didn't really get what was going on, like musically? The answer for a lot of people is a big yes. And that's kind of the trap, right? A lot of traditional methods teach you how to perform, but they don't always teach you how to understand.
So how do we get past that? Well, this whole approach is built on this really powerful idea. It's the idea that real musical skill, true musicality, rests on two pillars. Two different but totally connected ideas. It's not just about what you're playing, it's about the how and the why it all works.
And you can think of it like this. Pillar number one is all about decoding the language of music, reading the notes and symbols on the page. And the other pillar, that's about understanding its structure, almost like the architectural blueprint that a song is built on. And here's the key. You absolutely need both of them to work together.
All right, so let's tackle that first pillar, decoding the language. This all happens in a place they call the fine zone. And honestly, this is where the journey into really reading music begins.
So what is the fine zone? It's basically all about the fundamentals, finding notes, reading them, and figuring out what they mean. And that magnifying glass icon, it's perfect, right? It's all about looking closely and really studying what's on the page. And this is where that amazing language analogy really clicks. In the fine zone, learning music is treated just like learning to read and speak. Think about it. The individual notes, that's your alphabet. The little gaps between notes, the intervals, those are like simple sounds or blends. And then you get to motifs, these little musical phrases, and boom, you've got your first words. It's such a logical, step-by-step way to build it up.
And that step-by-step process is just so important. You can see it here with a skill like read and play notes. It's not just one big thing you have to learn. No, it's a ladder you climb. You start with the level 1 notes, then you add in level 2, and so on. You master one level before you go to the next. You're building this super solid foundation, piece by piece. Okay, so that's the fine zone. It's all about the what. What are the notes? What are the rhythms? But that's only half the story. What about the why? Why those notes? Well, that brings us to the second pillar and the second zone.
All right. Pillar 2, exploring the build zone. If the fine zone was about reading the map, the build zone is where you learn about the landscape itself. This is where we get into the real architecture of music.
And yeah, the build zone is pretty much what it sounds like. It's all about teaching those fundamental building blocks. We're talking keys, we're talking scales, and chords. The actual bricks and mortar that almost all the music we listen to is made of. And you gotta love the icon for this zone. It's a bodybuilder. And it makes so much sense. It really gets to the heart of what the build zone is about. Just like working out, building up your musical muscles, getting really fluent with your scales and chords, it takes consistent, dedicated practice. It's all about building that core strength.
One of the super important tools you master in the build zone is the circle of fifths. Now, if you've seen this thing, it might look a little intimidating, but it's not just some random piece of theory. It's actually this incredible key that unlocks how all the different major and minor keys relate to each other. It makes harmony make sense.
And this is a really, really important point. Understanding chords, that is not just for pianists and guitar players. It is vital for every single musician. If you're a singer or you play the flute or the violin, knowing the chords helps you train your ear, it tells you how to shape your melodies, and it gives you the grammar you need if you ever want to improvise. It's a total game changer for everyone.
Okay, so we've got the fine zone for reading and the build zone for, building. Two separate things, right? Wrong. And this is the masterstroke. This is what makes the whole system work. The real magic isn't learning one and then the other. It's about connecting them, like right away, in real time.
And they say it right in the source material. This connection isn't just a good idea, it's vital. It's the absolute core of the whole philosophy. When you teach these things at the same time, that's when you get learning that's not just efficient, but balanced and really sticks with you. So let's walk through a real example. Imagine you're a student and you're in the build zone. Today's lesson is the key of G major. You're learning the scale, what it sounds like, and the main chords that go with it. So you're building that theoretical foundation. Okay, now here comes the magic part. You don't just file that G major knowledge away for later. Nope, you immediately jump over to the fine zone,
and you start practicing reading music and spotting patterns that are written, you guessed it, in the key of G major.
And that is the powerful connection. The why that you learned in the build zone, the theory, gets instantly linked to the how in the find zone, the actual practice. So theory isn't this abstract, boring thing you learn in a vacuum. It's a tool you get to use right now.
So where does all this lead? What's the end game here? Well, the goal is to get to a place called musical fluency. It's all about moving past just robotically repeating notes you've memorized and getting to a place of real, deep, internal understanding.
Really, this whole system is designed to fight against that classic trap in music lessons, just memorizing stuff. You know, playing a piece just because you memorize the finger patterns, that is not the same thing as understanding the musical ideas you're trying to communicate.
And that brings us to this amazing idea, elementary fluency. This is that aha moment. It's when everything just clicks into place. Your ear, your brain, and your hands all start working together. It's the point where you stop just performing the music and you start to truly experience it from the inside.
So, I guess I'll just leave you with this final thought. Is it enough to just play the notes on the page? Or should we be aiming for something more? Should we be striving to really, truly speak the language of music? It's something to think about. Thanks for joining me.